A very good afternoon to you, Vuyo. Thanks for joining us again. I'm presuming that caucus meeting that the EFF had requested from the Chief Justice, who's presiding over the proceedings there, is still underway.
Well, indeed. Floyd Chibambu, the deputy president of the EFF, asking Chief Justice Zondo for a break so that they can go and caucus. They haven't hidden, Masa, their disappointment at how things have gone. They would have wanted to be part of a government of national unity, they said, but to the exclusion of certain groups, in particular the Democratic Alliance. Now, this morning they did have a briefing together with several other smaller parties like your UDMs, like your ATMs, the ACDP, and the like, trying to see if at this final hour, at that final hour, I should say, which was in fact an hour before the proceedings kicked off here, whether they could still influence the proceedings. It would seem that they did not succeed. As I was telling Iman a little earlier, the Democratic Alliance seemed to be a lot more positive about things than your EFFs, your UDMs, and ATMs and others. And I'm going to bring into the conversation now Asanda Ngoasheng, who's been monitoring the proceedings with me since yesterday. Asanda, the ANC telling us that it couldn't definitively say what exactly was going to happen today, precisely because the conversations were still ongoing. A short while ago, about 30 minutes ago or so, I caught up with the Secretary General of the ANC once again. He says they are fairly confident around the issue of the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, that is. However, things are still stuck around the question or the issue of, or the positions of Speaker and Deputy Speaker.
Well, this is what I was saying, Vuyo, yesterday. You'll remember I was saying to you that they can't give away anything until they've finalized all of the decisions that need to be made. And this is literally art of war in practice. This is the strategy of negotiation in practice. And I think that, the EFF, for instance, is finding themselves having picked the wrong side or not having moved fast enough, while the DA moved faster than they seem to have. And that's why now I think they're calling for a 30-minute to caucus, because they're obviously trying to see if they can change or shift anything with the remaining, particularly that deputy speaker and the speaker position seemingly to be the most contested, while the president seemed to be kind of a given. I think, one thing that I've been saying consistently is that the whole point of the government of national unity was to force everybody to the negotiating table. And it's worked quite well for the ANC, because with the 40%, they could have run a government a minority government, and they chose not to. But they know that even within a GNU, they still have a lot of power, and they still have the ability to push through many of the policies that they want, regardless of who their partner is going to be. And the DA itself also knows that if things are not going well at national, they are definitely going to be in trouble in the Western Cape. So it's in everybody's best interest at this point to come together. But the question is going to be, what is going to happen when we have to talk budgets? That's where the difficulty is going to be. What is going to happen in KZN, and what is going to happen with the 50 plus people of the MK who couldn't make it? We saw apparently there were 6 of them, but 50 plus 52 people didn't make it. And so what is going to happen to that, and that inability to exercise their democratic right? And that's going to be cause of interesting conversations.
Time, it would seem, is running out, certainly with regard to who is going to be elected Speaker, who is going to be elected Deputy. It would seem, certainly from the ANC seems to be fairly confident that there's a bigger bloc supporting the election of Cyril Ramaphosa as President. Now, the likelihood is that the various groupings are going to come up with names, which one is going to delay proceedings by a considerable amount of time, because Once that is done, once you have several nominees for the position of Speaker, which is going to be the first one, it then means that you then have to go and print a ballot paper. And there's going to be manual counting involved. But however long it's going to take, it is, of course, something that would have to be done. But it may just, in other words, the outcome may just put a spanner in the works and change a lot of things. And who knows what will happen after the parties don't find one another or don't coalesce around the Speaker and Deputy, which may then even harden or change attitudes when it comes to the election of a president ultimately.
Well, I think, what's very interesting is that the Speaker role generally is important, but not more important than the president. But I think when it comes to a political party like the EFF, that Speaker role is everything, because they have been known to, protest in Parliament, to disrupt Parliament as their own way of activism. And so whoever is the Speaker is going to determine the tone that will be set for the 7th Parliament, and they will be the biggest losers or the biggest winners depending on who manages to become the Speaker. And of course you've got the MK, who we don't know what their strategy is going to be. They may well adopt a similar or the same strategy as the EFF, and they're also going to be quite keen to see who is going to be the Speaker, because their tone again will determine the relationship that exists between the MK and the Parliament.